I'm Ohle. I have started 3D 5 years ago, and I wanted to share some of my experience and thoughts, I guess, on this because I have experienced some highs and some very, very lows, I would say. Currently, I am the co-founder and lead weapon artist at Wardog. Some of you might be familiar with it. We are doing basically guns for games all day, every day. Um, yeah, the way I thought I would go through this is by the years, I guess, and you can also jump in and ask questions, I guess. Yeah, okay. So in the very first year, I was basically still doing because I'm a school dropout, I was repeating, I guess you would call it, my high school with 21, I think, or 20, I don't remember. And while doing that, I was like, what am I doing with my life? And I have this very good example of my grandfather who made like tons of cash. Like he made like 10K a month and big bonuses on the end of the year, but he was literally not spending any time with their family or whatsoever. And I was like, yeah, I guess I'm not interested in that. And I was this time listening to a lot of music, which actually was bringing me to 3D in the end, which is kind of funny because it was music from what is the game band called again? M82 and Kavinsky, which is obviously the synthwave cyberpunky music. And thanks, Polygon. And the music brought me to the genre of cyberpunk, and in the very similar time frame, cyberpunk got also announced, I think, and I got on like catched by this whole cyberpunk hype train, basically. Yeah, M83, I think they are called, if I'm not totally mistaken. Yeah, I just look for it, M83. And basically, I wanted to make a game, basically a cyberpunk game, not like the cyberpunk that was just introduced, but like, I don't know, I was one of those retards. Obviously, I value them very high because I was one of them, but the guys that were just like, oh, I have never done anything in game art or game dev, but I want to make this huge, amazing game. And so I basically started with trying everything from coding to sculpting environments, like tileable environments, like procedural stuff. I basically tried everything to see what fits me and what's not. And I figured out very quickly that I'm not very creative. So I skipped the part of being a concept artist very quickly. I'm very well ADD, so I cannot really keep a train of thought for long. So coding was also not really well working out for me. And eventually, I was just sticking with environment and props. And obviously, for a cyberpunk game, I was like, oh, I definitely need a gun. So I made a couple of guns for the game, and while doing so, I was realizing, oh, weapons are artistically very pleasing to me. And that was basically the start of me going more and more into weapon art. And I was back in the day still doing my high school, obviously, while learning teaching myself 3D. I thought about going to a game art university. So I went to one of the best in the city I was living in, and it's one of the biggest ones in Germany. So I expected them to be actually quite professional, which turned out they are not, sadly, because I was like thinking when I go to a university that teaches me game art, they should be on the newest high tech shit, basically. Like they should know all the cool tricks and tips, and they should know the newest workflows and whatsoever. So I was asking them about photogrammetry, and they told me they never heard of that. And I was explaining the people in this university what photogrammetry is with my very little knowledge about it, and they said, "Oh, this sounds amazing. I never heard of it whatsoever." And I was like, "Yeah, this doesn't sound like a place I want to learn 3D just because if I already know about technology that my teachers wouldn't even know about, was kind of driving me off." Oh yeah, I mean, people that know me know that I'm extremely. Sorry, I was reading what Melissa was saying about the AAD thing. I'm a kind of person that is like very, very hard to focus on anything except it's very interesting me, and then I am absolutely unstoppable with it, like absolutely tunneling if needed. But if it's a topic that I cannot do anything with and I am no interest in, I literally, it's like pure emptiness in my head. And I don't even think stuff like AAD is like a disadvantage or anything. It's literally just something you have to figure out how to work with it, and in the best way even use it, because yeah, it's like a hyper focus. It's like it has its offsides, but it has also absolutely its upsides. And I think it's very important when you have AD or whatever and you are in the art field like I am. It can be an advantage in some situations. It always depends on how your personality is and if you're outgoing or not. And it's a big topic that I guess I shouldn't open here too much, but it's definitely nothing people should be like ashamed of, because I think I saw that many times where people are like, oh no, I have ADD or ADHD, and it's like they feel like they are like handicapped because of it, and it's just like, well, no, you're not. Absolutely not. uh can I get a pog? uh but yeah, I absolutely agree. There should be a lot more talks about stuff like ADD or ADHD. um but yeah, it was helping me to, like, this is a good example. Like when I went, like, because I'm a school dropout because I cannot focus on stuff. Like I cannot remember anything I don't care about. So when I went to school, I couldn't remember shit. So when I repeated my school, I was again in the same situation. I was like, yeah, this stuff, I don't care about this. Please, what am I doing here? And then I figured out 3D for myself, which helped me literally finding like something I'm good at and that I can focus all my energy on. And that worked out great. So yeah, it can be an advantage, I guess, in my opinion. Um, where was I? Oh yeah, and this first year I got like support from the government. When you go to school, you can like request like support for government. But because I failed my, like I basically failed my class in school again, so I had to do another year to get my degree. And if this happens, they withdraw the support on you. So on my second year, I basically had to do my school to get my degree. I had to somehow live from something. I was living with my girlfriend I'm still with. Like we are together for 13 years this year. And we were living like in a one-room apartment, like on like 200 to 400 euros a month. And this money came from her apprenticeship and my uh like freelancing as in I made like a weapon for 50 bucks basically back in the day. And obviously this is part of the topic, hey, you shouldn't undersell yourself and whatnot, but let's be honest, if you are like as bad as I was back in the day, like when I was selling for 50 bucks, you cannot really expect more, I guess. But I guess that's just me being realistic about it or something. I don't know. But and anyway, I had literally no money, so I was kind of hassling between learning 3D, making money with 3D, and doing my school. And it was definitely one of the hardest years in my life, I would assume. having a girlfriend already setting unrealistic standards. I guess. um, and so yeah, I was literally like, this 1 year was just basically hustling all day, all night. And then eventually in the end of the second year, I got my school degree. I basically made it. I went through it. And then I don't know, it was a couple of months later that I got my first job actually at Elite 3D as a junior prop artist. And basically working like in a studio, like people have always those curves of how progression of like learning stuff went and whatever. And for me, it was basically like my learning curve was like always very low, even when self-teaching myself. It was like very low in comparison to what happened when I joined Elite 3D, because you're surrounded by like all those artists. And let's put it this way, I was a very annoying coworker because I would go always to everyone, and like not even only weapon guys, right? Like I went to the character guys, the environment guys, the prop guys, the weapon guys. I went to everyone and just sit next to them and was literally like watching very precisely what they do, like absolutely observing and absorbing and observing everything I could see there, because it was all highly interesting to me. And people were like, how can you even like, how do you have the time to sit next to me and look at all this stuff? Don't you have work to do? And yeah, I had work to do, which I finished like in like less time than was like estimated. So I was literally spending all the rest time of watching people work, asking them all the questions all the time, basically annoying them most likely. In the end, they like me as a person, and that I asked so many questions because they saw that I actually made something out of it. Because that's the frustrating thing, right? Like I have this actually often when people ask me for feedback. I give them like actually very thoughtful feedback, which takes me like half an hour sometimes. And like they write me private, not on the Discord where I give feedback anyway, but like when they DM me and want feedback, and I give them this feedback, and they get like feel attacked or getting cocky and being like, oh, okay, I don't like this. Or when they just say they like it and then don't even try doing this feedback. And I'm just like, well, why do you then like ask me for my time and waste my time basically, if you don't even have the interest in applying those things you just asked for? This is something that annoys me. So I guess it was pretty good for the people that I annoyed that I actually made something out of the information I got from them. And that's like literally one of the big things I would always recommend to anyone out there. If you ask people for feedback, you gotta make sure the person you ask for this feedback, you value their time, because it's not just that they are giving you feedback and sharing their information and experience with you. They are also spending their time for you, which many are fine with and some are just cocky about. But if you ask them for it, just appreciate it and use this information instead of feeling attacked or like, I don't know, just ignoring it. Oh yeah, like definitely hard to step away from the ego, but you definitely have to, especially if you are early in your development of being a 3D or not even a 3D artist, of being like in the technically in any field, in any work. It's not even just art or game dev, but like since we are working in game dev, especially in game dev, if you don't take the critique and feedback from other people, obviously construct like productive feedback, which you actually get something from. If someone just tells you you're shit, then obviously you can tell them off and be like, you can go home. I don't care about your opinion. Yeah, critical feedback has to be taken knowing that they will see all the mistakes, details you miss. Yeah. But yeah, like at some point at Elite 3D, I just reached the point where I was like, I don't learn much anymore, and I want to work for, like, I want the next challenge. I was literally, I guess that's also a downside then if you are like having this very short focus span. You're like, I want to do the next thing, and I want to do the next great thing, and I want to achieve this and this and this. And so I was like, okay, let's go back home. And that was like in my end of the third year, after being 1 year at Elite 3D. I was like trying to push myself now with all what I learned to get even better at what I'm doing, weapons. And I think this year was like the hardest year, because not because of how much hassle or whatever, not that, but like because you worked this 1 year in the industry, and back in the day everyone told you once you have your foot in the door, you have made it. You are in the industry, and you don't have to worry anymore. And you like that's the big thing. You have to get into the door, and that's it. Like after that, everything gets so much easier. But yeah, it's not always like that, I guess. At least not for weapon artists, because I guess we're specialized. So it's always the competition is way harder, and it's like less open jobs for it, obviously. So I was like going out of Elite 3D with like this ego and be like, yes, I can apply anywhere and there and there, and they will all just take me, which obviously was delusional, but that's how I was feeling back in the day. So I left Elite 3D, and I was like learning a lot more from myself, and trying to push my boundaries and texturing especially. And I eventually got a job in a university, and I was teaching like game art. And this is one of the topics I want to go through, because the problem about game industry or game art, no, it's not even art, it's like game dev universities. There are some like very good ones. Like I know people who went to very good universities for that. But then I have, for example, teach at a university where I was feeling like I was the only teacher who has like the experience in AAA, which obviously you don't have to be always experienced in AAA, but if a university has like no professional experience in the like the circle of the lectures, I feel like it's missing something for knowledge for the students. Because what happened in the university I was like I heard stories where like other lecturers would go on to the front and just show YouTube videos and answering questions, and like not their own YouTube videos, but like just YouTube tutorials. And I'm like, but why do you go and be a lecturer in a university then, and getting paid for making this 1 2 hour like class each week, or even double classes, if you're just showing YouTube videos? And it was just depressing me, because I was like, how is that possible? How can you like be a lecturer and just cheat on the people that actually pay there to get the knowledge from you, so to say? And it's just like mind-boggling to me, because uh, something that happens, at least in Germany, I cannot speak for like all the universities in the world, right? But from the universities I know of, what happens often is the graduates graduate, and universities hire then some of those graduates as lecturers, which is like, for me, like imagine you have like a bad lecturer already, and he's teaching people poorly. Like he then graduates from learning from this mediocre or bad teacher that maybe never did actually work in the game industry, but just knows 3D, because that's actually what happens often in the universities I know also. And this graduate then becomes a lecturer and teaches what he learned, what is like maybe even outdated, or even wrong to the next graduates, and it gets just even worse and worse and worse in the spiral, which is like, what? How is that even possible? Like, it makes me sad. And it's like there needs to be a change, I guess. It's just, it cannot like continue like that. That's like just people spending like fortunes on learning about game industry and game art and whatever, and then they learn in my old university, what I just heard recently, they are learning, which got changed again, but I heard of it in the classes before also, that they learned character modeling just in Maya. There's no money for ZBrush. There's no money for enough substance licenses. There's no money for like just the let's say the basic tools for getting into AAA, I would say. Like, why do you make a university teaching AAA games industry stuff if they don't prepare you with the correct tools for the industry? If that makes sense. And it's just like what? Like, if someone is paying like I don't know, like let's say like what is it, 2K a month or something on this university. Yeah, I highly doubt they cannot afford ZBrush licenses. Okay, it's like, uh, it's just they're greedy as fuck. That's what my consensus is. Like, they're just greedy as fuck. I don't understand this shit. It just makes me furious, which is also why I don't be why I'm not a lecturer anymore, because it's like taking the money from students who want to learn something, which I tried my hardest to with the tools I was given to actually teach them what they need. I at least got through, like only because of me requesting it, they had in the end substance. And we actually instead of using um, Maya, Blender, or Substance Painter for baking, I was literally giving, even though it wasn't even approved or anything, I was like telling everyone to download Marmoset trial, and so I could teach them baking in Marmoset, because it was like, there's no point in teaching them how to bake like in what is it called again, the older tools, like I forgot the name of it, X normals or something. No, was it X normals? Fuck, I don't remember. But yeah, X normal, exactly. And I was like, sure, you can teach them in that, but in like most cases, studios want to see you able to bake like in Marmoset, or at least have clean bakes, which are in Marmoset the easiest. So I was just literally like, yeah, let's just get the trial license from Marmoset and teach them how they will work in the industry most likely. I know that some studios work also with Substance for baking, but I'm not a big fan of it. So I was like, yeah, no, let's let's just teach them like Marmoset, even if it's a trial version, because it was like the 30 days was way more than enough to go through the baking process with them. Oh yeah, like my teachers told us how to bake in Max. That's exactly my problem. Like, yes, those tools are like working, but it's not optimal. Like if I want to like, this is a problem with the industry universities I have, is they don't teach you and prepare you for the future in the game industry. They train you what they learned like 5 to 10 years ago or something, and that's like, the industry is moving way too fast for like having people to learn stuff from like couple of like decades ago or whatever. It's like, you have to go with the new tools, you have to go with what will be industry standard, you have to go with what can become the industry standard. They have to know many tools, they have to know the tools very good, because that's their bread and butter. And so for me, it's just annoying to see people paying for. I'm not saying again like universities are bad, like overall there are, I'm sure, good ones, but if you want to go for actually a game university, you should like make the research first, ask people that maybe that went there, or ask online for people who went there, and maybe even when you go there, having a chat with their I don't know how it's called, the person in charge that talks to the new students, like ask them like I did about new technology that interests you. Maybe like do you guys have a mocap room? It might sound a bit crazy that like a university could have that, but I know universities that have mocap rooms, VR rooms, even sound rooms, and all this kind of stuff. Like if they have the hardware, they most likely also will have proper software and lecturers who can at least handle it to some degree. So that would be probably my recommendation if you want to go for university. Just make sure that you pick the correct university that makes you actually ready for the industry, because otherwise you just spend a fortune on it and you go back home with a degree that is like worth nothing. Because, well, it's worth something because you can like apply in America, I guess, because they will then let you in easier. But that's a hot topic, I guess. Um, but yeah, like while I was teaching there, I was applying for many jobs and I got basically rejected everywhere. I even had like I don't want to do like name dropping here or something. That's why I'm just keeping the names out. But I had one company, for example, a very big one, where I had the art director and the lead artist recommending me to a batch of the company in my country, in Germany, and they basically refused me like 6 or 8 months later. So that's something that doesn't like go to my mind. Like when you get the recommendation from like the headquarter in another country, from an art director and an art lead, and they don't even interview you or give you even a rejection like quickly or something. That's just like, but like why and how? And I even knew people that applied at the same time uh that got like answers, so even without recommendations. So I was like, holy shit, like am I that bad? Like am I really that bad? I don't understand. And then there was another big rejection for me. I was applying at like CD Projekt Red, and the whole process was taking like a couple of months, which is fine. Obviously, I did an art test. I didn't pass the art test, but then they still wanted me, they said, like 1 week later, and then the whole job posting got canceled by the management again. And so after like 4 interviews and an art test, I got rejected, and I was just like, what am I doing here? Like, holy shit, I'm playing everywhere and I'm just getting rejected everywhere. And I was just like starting to question myself, like, am I just like bad? Am I like an absolute terrible person in the interviews and they just hate me? Am I like I literally didn't know what's the issue. Like I had zero idea. Um so to me I was thanks Valerio and Jade. Yeah, I mean it was like, I mean that's the thing, right? Like they rejected the artist and then they came back to me afterwards again to interview me again, even though. So I guess it wasn't that bad after all. But in any case, it just showed me that the management was at this time very um confused. I don't know what to call it. Like I guess it was one of the times where CD Projekt Red had to, in the management sphere, get shit together to like get on the track again. I don't know. I can just assume, but in the end, it doesn't even matter that it was like any company or whatever. What bothered me is that I literally got rejected by any company I applied to at this time. I even applied like at like smaller local studios because I was at some point that desperate. I was just like, yeah, just give me any job, please. Hello. And I still got no job and only got rejected, which made my ego go even more tiny a little and just making me un, uncomfortable in my position. And uh, what else was in this year? It's my 4th year in this story. Well, I did like some indie like project that never.
Oh, you just.
Oh, I don't know
You
why
good?
my headset just turned off.
Perfect.
Sorry for
All
that.
right.
I thought it's empty, but actually no, it's not. So I don't know. Just makes fun with me, I guess. Yeah, I worked in this year like also on some like indie projects, and then there was like this one indie project that was actually like making me a fortune, and I was literally just like wasting all that money to go with my girlfriend and my sister to New York City for New Year's Eve, because I was like, after this year that was just fucking annoying me. I was just like, yeah, let's just end this year with like big bang boom. And before the end of the year, I was writing with Jade. Like, me and Jade actually, forgot to mention that, met in my 2nd year, I think, or even my 1st year. I don't even remember, because at the time where I was learning 3D, I was going on a lot of streams, and DiNusty, for example, was one of the very first streams with Jade together that I watched at the beginning. So basically, when DiNusty was starting, I was already watching him, and like I guess the problem is why I was never taking like more like why I was never too active in the Dynasty Discord myself, was just because there was like little like weapon artists, except like some, but I was just like like, since I'm so having this short times focus span, I was just like, I'm not very good at Discord servers. Like, usually, even in our own Discord server, you see me like sometimes hopping in, answering some questions or whatever. But then again, I might not write anything for like weeks. And yeah, I'm even not sure if I'm still subscribed to Dynasty. I could actually be. I haven't logged in into my Twitch for a couple of months. But yeah, like Dynasty was, for example, also a great help in the beginning, because I was sending Dynasty a lot of stuff to get feedback from. And I was funny because he was in the beginning always saying, when I sent weapons, he was like, I'm not a weapon artist, but I will try to do my best to give you feedback here. And it actually helped, because he was like, even though he's not like uh, yeah, I could imagine, but it was like still great to hear your opinion, because you, for me, was like a big guy. Like, you were this industry personality, the first personality in the industry basically that I had like contact to, even if it was through a stream. And yeah, then I met also Jade on Twitch in similar time, and I was keeping contact with her for the next 5 years, 4 years basically. And in the 4th year, after getting all those rejections, and Jade had also a quite miserable time, let's put it this way. She was like, we have been talking like some time ago already about like, oh, outsource is cool, like making just art. And then one day Jade was just like writing me. I don't know how we came to this topic again, but most likely I was again like totally depressed about my situation, and I get no jobs and no one wants me. And Jade was just like, I have thinking about like opening outsource for quite a while. And I was like answering her, oh yeah, I can see that. I have thinking about the same, because like I was already in like chats with Linus to do some freelancing together or something. And basically this then brought me and Jay to the idea of, well, why don't we like, let's just make an outsource studio. And that's basically how we ended up getting the idea of Wardog. I was like, yep, let's do it. And since she is also quite ADD, we both were like, okay, let's just make this amazing, and let's make like the biggest thing you can imagine. Let's make Wardog the biggest institution for weapon art and hard surface. And it's the right time to drop the screenshot. Oh no. Well, I know where it is. Let me give a second. Um because it's on our Twitter. We posted. Um, it's like something small and funny. Let me get this to you guys. Just 1 second. Oh, actually, I can show you also this one in a second. Okay. Yeah, we posted that in the very early beginning of Wardog. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Where's the stream? Stream. There. Oh, actually, I cannot post it, but I will send it to DiNusty so you can post it because I am not logged in to Twitch. Ohle taking a bath. Yeah, it was my joke. I was like, oh, this looks like me. Yeah, DiNusty just posted it, and there you can see like on our Twitter, where literally me and Jay legit were like on Discord deciding to make a company. Two randoms from the internet who never met in real life were like, yes, let's make the greatest hard surface company you can imagine, and that's how it started. Yeah, Jade is our banana 11. The the day a gun got loaded with a banana. Yeah, basically. And obviously it was a great pair because I'm like super focused and good artist, and Jade has like all this experience, is an amazing artist, and I feel quite honored when she was actually doing it with me. And yeah, and the rest is history, I guess. Like Wardog is now 1 year old. We're doing great. It's definitely a ride, a fun ride, a crazy ride, and they will make a movie about this conversation. Yeah. There's other good stuff we can talk about the company at some point when we're allowed to, but cute weapons. We have cute weapons. What you mean? Jade made concepts that are like super cute, like ice guns and fire guns. They are cute. And I think the big conclusion about this and my 5-year career is basically I come as a school dropout. To summarize it, I'm a school dropout who got basically told his whole life I will never make it to anything, like in school, in internships, like anywhere I ever went to, basically. And at some point, I was kind of believing it, I guess. But since I have my girlfriend for like at this point back then, we're like together for 8 years, and I was like, well, I guess I have to get my ass off and do something. I cannot stay being a loser my whole life. And started 3D. And even though I got like rejected all those times, and even though people told me I'm so great and I still got no jobs, I was just like, well, it somehow has to work out. And if like no one wants you, you just have to make them like just make yourself like make yourself so present that they cannot avoid you. Basically what I did. I'm just like, you all don't want me. Well, if you don't want me, I'm just making a company that produces a quality and has a brand together with Jade that you cannot like ignore because of Revenge of the Ola. Revenge of the Wardogs, please. No, but like, but that's the cool thing. Like, people would like, because people asking me about weapon artists are elitists or whatever, but actually, it's very great to see that within Wardog, even though we are very competitive with like the public and other studios and our quality, internally there is no fights about the quality or competition. Like it's just like we all try to push each other to reach this very high quality and make Wardog just like the greatest hard surface institution that there is. I probably forgot stuff about my last 5 years. I'm bad at this. So if you have questions, Uh,
All right. Did you get through everything, you think?
I think I got to at least the important bits. I'm sure there's always something I will miss, but that's part like this will be written in my book. No, I'm kidding.
Dude, I want a book. I want a book. Let me
In 10
see.
years.
Let me see if I can turn. I don't know if this is gonna work because I don't know if I broke it or not. Let's see. It looks like I may have broke it. I'm like, do I have a webcam? Let's see. Oop. Oh my god, it's working. Where should I go? Should I go over here? There you go. Look,
Oh
now
yeah,
we're hanging out, dude.
yeah, the problem is I actually cannot see like the
Oh yeah, you
stream
can't see it?
because
Okay. Well, we're hanging
because
out now.
my how you call it? I cannot watch the stream while I have the webcam on and talking to you because my internet is so shitty. It would probably buffer all the time.
Oh no. Okay. Well, we have a handful of questions. You've been answering questions in chat, which is really good. So
Oh
we'll
yeah, I
just
was actually not sure, but there was some questions that were like super related, and I was just like, yeah, let's just throw it in.
Big Z, typical German internet. So
I'm in UK, and I'm literally like this.
there it goes.
This is my modem at the moment, my router. This is where I get my internet from. I'm running on a phone hotspot.
Oh my gosh, don't touch it. It changed
Oh,
everything for a second.
oh shit! I'm not touching it.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get through these questions, then we can let you get out of here. Nobody call him. So
Better not.
what's a good way to practice / get fast with weapons? Is there any useful information online? Like where do you look up like weapon reference or like how you're building weapons?
Well, I have to do the disclosure first. There's many weapon guys also on our server and even people that work for us that have a way greater gun knowledge than me. So the way I approach guns is just in shapes. Like some people are like, oh yeah, this is the receiver and this is the I don't know, like they know all the internals, which I don't even know, and they going very technical about it. I am very simple minded, I guess. I'm just like I see this shape and I try to break it down, especially with booleans. I try to break it down by how booleans, like because many weapons nowadays are cut with boolean, like in reality they are like literally like how you would boolean a 3D model. They do that in real life with like milling and other techniques. And so I just try to break it down by shapes and see what shapes cutting into this block basically of like when I can uh show you if you want, I guess, one of my models, how they look, because my models are like quite
Yeah, if you
I
message it to
take
me.
the yeah I do the how you say, the boolean workflow to another height, so to say. As in I abuse it absolutely where I can. Some people just boolean just little part, but I'm just like, yeah, I boolean literally every shape there is. I think it's here. Oh, I guess I can show the pistol for that. But yeah, overall, I would say as an advice, do many guns, practice. Like for me, it was like just the more I practiced, the faster I got, and also your visual memory of hard surface objects will just get a lot better over time. Even if you don't notice it, it will become better. Like I promise. I think it's
I can give you another question while you're looking for that.
sure.
In a category of game art which is pretty saturated with work, how do you stand out?
In my case, like I'm not sure. Do the people still see like my portfolio in the background?
Yep. They're seeing all your
Or
art.
yeah, or even if you watched it before, while I was talking, I always try to like at the moment I see a lot of real guns on ArtStation, as in they do very real guns. They use ray tracing to make them look even realer, and everything just tries to copy the real world, which looks fantastic and is like mind-boggling and is like amazing quality. But to me, it's boring. So what I do with my weapons, or try to do with my weapons, is bigger than life. Do like, or not, you should do it, but find your like aesthetic, your, like, it's like a concept artist. When he is drawing, he at some point develops his art style, I guess, or his drawing style. And what I just figured out for myself at some point is I love the bigger than life texturing and modeling in real assets. So for example, if you take my samurai, which is basically all real existing parts, people still believed often that um, it's a concept of mine, which it isn't. It's just real parts I Googled, I put together and textured and presented in a way that made it a lot more stylized and unrealistic than it actually is in reality. And that's just how I approach things. Like, I want to make it look like juicy. I don't want boring realness that just makes, yeah, it looks like a photo. Like, happy birthday, it's great. I probably couldn't make it look like a photo. Like, I'm not saying like it's like bad. I'm just saying for me it's boring. So that's why I just like to make it exaggerated and make it like bigger than life and just full craziness. Like, make this one pin on your gun just like absolutely contrasty color to everything else, just so it sticks out. Is it real? Would a real combat this look unrealistic because people could spot you? Yeah, most likely. Do I actually care? Except it's for a client who wants to make a simulator, I guess, or something like that. But if it's not like the need for me being super realistic, I just go what looks cool, like what is nice, what is like interesting. That's my whole philosophy. Make it
Mm.
nice and interesting. Um,
Let's see here. You want me to hit you
yeah,
with another question?
yeah. 1 second. I'm just
Yeah.
showing, like sending you the
Oh, right.
picture. This one. This is basically a pistol I made, and without like that's without the booleans,
There we go. Just drop it in chat. Yeah.
and this is with booleans. And
Okay.
as you can see, I literally only get like the shapes that are annoying to do with booleans. I just get the basic shape, literally the most basic shape you can imagine, and then I boolean out everything. All internals, all everything boolean, 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 boolean. And
I
that's
think
how I started. Yeah.
I can put it over your webcam and people can see it like that.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's just how I work, right? But nowadays when I see stuff, I just see it in booleans instead of polygons. Like, do you remember, or maybe it's still for you this way, if you looked at something when you learn 3D, you're starting seeing things in polygons,
Yes.
like real life objects even.
Yeah, like you can see the
I
wireframe of reality.
Yeah, exactly. And I have this, but I also now see everything just in booleans. I'm like, when I see real objects, I'm like, yeah, this was probably like designed in probably a CAD software, and they fucking boolean like this shape and this shape and this shape, and it actually helps you a lot when working, because you don't think about how it's done because you just see it. Like, okay, this is this shape, like this is just a cylinder cut out there, or this is like a 45 angle that's just cut out there and with the curvature, and it's just practice. Like, that's actually a big topic. I don't have to make up now, but the big thing is, people asked me how, like, back in the day when I started Elite, I was very bad comparison to when I left Elite, and they asked me how I did it. And the sad truth that I don't recommend, but it's how I got good in 1 year, is I slept 4 to 6 hours, worked my 8 to 9 hours a day, drank a lot of Red Bull, and worked another 6 to 8 hours at least, basically until I fall down to the bed and was like, yeah, I have to sleep or I will be like not able to do my job tomorrow. And that's what I did one whole year because I was living in Spain without my girlfriend. I was just like, yeah, just hustling through this. Like, there is no downtime. Literally, like 24/7. 1 year was like on fire. And it's
Dude,
not
that's
recommendable.
intense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not recommendable, right? But if someone asked me if they would do that, if they could get good in 1 year, I would say you should take care of your health because that's the most important part about it. But obviously it does work to put like the time you put in, obviously the efficient time. That's again a part of, I guess, being a bit ADD like me. I can probably work even more sometimes than someone without ADD or something because they need more downtime eventually. But I was just like I didn't had the time where I lost efficiency or creativity in that time. I was literally like sleep, work, 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 18 hours or something a day, sleep, and I could do that for 1 year without feeling exhausted or something. So if you can do it and that's your thing, do it, but I cannot recommend it because it's definitely
Yeah, that gets rough fast for a lot of people.
like yeah, like even the physical impact on your body, like like I was just drinking like Red Bull, right? Like there's people who take worse than Red Bull to stay awake, and even Red Bull was already taking a toll on my body. Like you could feel like that your heartbeat and pressure was always on fire, like 24/7. You were like this. So
Yeah, I
eh,
wouldn't recommend.
no, not really.
um, so what
Oh,
advice actually? Yeah, go ahead.
one thing, because Melissa was asking this, do you work better under stress? That's the case with people I know with ADD. Absolutely, yes. I'm not sure if it's something with ADD or just people like the character, but Jade is also very similar to this. We are like, yeah, give me like a tight deadline and I will most likely peak perform. It is really
Interesting.
like I obviously crunch is very bad, and at Wardog we having a non-crunch culture, so not a thing. But even if you don't crunch, right? Even if the deadline is just like in 5 days, and you know it should take 6, but you can't do it in 5 because like you're good, and it gets to the last 2 days, it's just like ramping up, like your creativity and your skills just like on fire, and you're just like, yes, I make this.
We have, what do we have? Like one, two. We have like 6 questions on the Discord. I need to make sure we hit those.
Yeah.
um. So I guess what is your advice for someone trying to get into games with ADD?
Uh, I think someone with ADD should definitely go with the specialization. Like, if I would think about being like I tried doing everything, right? The problem is with ADD, if you do many different things, you start to lose the track of one specific thing and you spread yourself very thin. So what happens, at least it happened to me, I learned at this one time all the things at the same time, and my head obviously couldn't keep track, right? Because you like that's how the brain works. You cannot take too much information in one day. And so if I tried learning all the different things, what I wanted, I couldn't like remember shit after a day. So I started to just focus on one thing and spend all this energy on one thing to specialize in the field that I think I love to do. This is the most important thing. You have to find the thing you love in art or in 3D or in coding or game dev, or even if you are outside of the game industry, just the one thing you love to do and focus on that, because I think that's how you can use like ADD the best. Is like get your focus on this. Even like, and this is the hard part about ADD people, you have to force yourself to do this, like focusing on this. Like sometimes you will have those times where you're like, I want to play with my phone, or I don't know. But sometimes you just have to force yourself, and eventually at some point it gets normal to you, and you can force on something and focus on it, like force focus on it. It's hard. I know that. Like it's easy to distract me. Like ask Jade in the office when she's next to me. I'm like, oh Jade, don't you have a deadline? Yes, sorry, ma'am. And yeah, I would say find the thing you love, focus on it, make like get the best in like whatever you want to do. Like you don't have to become the best, but this should be your goal. Just like try getting the most out of you to get very good at it. But again, that's just like how I am, and I'm a bit weird.
Would you say that applies to yourself, like if you were to give tips on self-learning, like
Yeah,
versus
like
education?
self-learning is, you should try different things first. Like when you start out in 3D or whatever you're interested in, you should try the other fields to be sure, like because you don't want to be in this situation I see people in that are like, I worked now for 10 years as a concept artist and I hate concept art and I want to do like something else now. Even though, to be fair, after 10 years, you might like just switch career and go to 3D, right? Like Jade hates doing 2D, but she's good at it. She's amazing at it. And she's like, but I want to do 3D. Uh, and I'm like, yeah, Jade, you do 3D because she's good at 3D, even because 2D is very well translating into 3D. But what I just mean is you shouldn't ignore everything else and focus on one thing you think you like if you haven't tried the other things, because you might just like them more, and then you waste the time learning something you don't like, I guess. That's why I tried everything, like from coding to animating, sculpting, everything.
Yeah, I tried it all in school as well, and that's how I quickly learned I
Yeah.
don't like 2D animation. It's like, oh.
I can relate.
So Polygon was saying that you give really good advice about feedback and how to take it. Were you always comfortable with receiving critique, or is it something that you became better at?
Oh, I was absolutely bad at getting feedback. Like I'm sure when you gave me feedback back in the day when I was very early in 3D, I most likely pushed back on you in the chat. Like if I think about nowadays, if I would like this is just like dumb to me pushing back on it if someone like you gives me feedback. But if you are young and you're doing like 3D now for the first time, you never really got feedback for something in your life, and you're just like, oh, but I think I'm so great already, but you actually are still shit. You like, it's normal. Like we all, I mean, I think most of us went through this times where you're like, oh, but I think it looks great. Don't give me feedback like this. You just tell me it's awesome. But at some point you have to get to the point where you just realize you need the help. You need people that tell you that it's shit, and you need the people, like, you don't need the people who tell you it's awesome. You need the people who tell you it's shit and you have to get better. That's the people you need. And eventually, obviously, when I send now something to people, obviously I still have times where they say it looks shit. But when then those people that tell you it's shit tell you after revisions and revisions, this now is looking amazing, then you at least know it actually looks good. Like there's no bullshitting behind it.
Mm. Do you concept your designs before 3D modeling weapons, or you just kind of like go for it?
I concept them in 3D.
Yeah, so you're
Like,
just moving geo around to get an idea.
yeah, well, like I got better at it as in like on the very first in the Fenris, I literally did only that. I just pushed Geo around and had like 500 million iterations. And then I made a pistol of the Fenris, which will be released hopefully soon. Which I actually took a little bit, like I made the 3D shape that I wanted, but then I went into Photoshop and changed the silhouette like slightly because I knew where I want to go, but I just wanted to try some iterations and try some little things, and there it helps to use a little bit of 2D. But I definitely would say 2D helps you even if you design it in 3D, 2D always helps to get the quick iterations, the quick ideas.
Let's see. What's the best advice you can give about time management and not feeling lazy?
I'm probably the worst to ask about time management. No,
Yeah.
I mean, um, let me think about this time management. Like when we're learning or when working, that's the question, I guess. Because when working, it
And we can
has to
we
be
can
done.
dig into that. Like that there's two different ways
Yeah,
of looking at time management.
like when I'm working, I do my job until it's done, and then I have, or at least I know it will be done like in 2 hours. Then I know I can take like a break of 2 hours, like at work, for example. If I know the estimate for it is 1 day and I finish it in 6 hours, and I know I have 2 hours left, then I spend this 2 hours on whatever I want. But I always put the work first if I am not sure if I can make it. That's the thing. Like if you're very unexperienced, you should always just finish your work first before you get sidetracked, because like this is like very important as a 3D artist, right? Like giving an accurate estimate and finishing it by the estimate. And then it's like how you say, like first comes the work, then the fun. It's That's how I approach work. Like just make the work, and then you can just do whatever you want. Like that's what I like try to do at Elite 3D, like finishing my work first and then going to people. Obviously it doesn't work always. Sometimes you just get sidetracked. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
um but yeah, in work I take work very seriously. So I'm like, finish work, then spend the rest of your day, your work day, even like that's the thing, right? You have 8 hours that get paid, uh, like usually, or 9, depends. And you don't have to, like, at least some bosses most likely will hate me now. Some big company bosses, you cannot work 8 to 9 hours like efficient, like effective. Like yes, you can work at those 8 to 9 hours, but I promise you, it will be 4 to 6 hours where you actually are productive. So if you are, let's say, 6 hours a day productive and using your time for the work that has to be done, and using then 1 hour, 2 hours to actually just have your like, like the how you call it again, the water cooler chat, or going to another
Or
table
the
of a friend who is
meetings.
working. Yeah, or those, or just going to a friend and seeing what he's working on. Do it because it gets your head free and is very helpful. And do breaks in between. Like don't work 6 hours straight. Could have sounded like that, but don't. Like take your 5 minute breaks in between. Like every hour take your 5 minute breaks. Do something like move, like move your feet, or like take your coffee from the kitchen, or you need those 5 minute breaks because it like resets your brain basically. Also those water cooler talks are like resetting your brain. You get a fresh view on whatever you're working on.
Mm.
Oh yeah, time management
Yeah.
if you are at home,
Yes.
because that was the other one. I don't think I can recommend something very well, to be honest, because I'm like, uh, I'm not very good at working from home. So I was the same when studying from home. I was like, I had my times where I was super focused, and my girlfriend was like not hearing anything from me for a week, and she's like very sad about it. And but I didn't realize, because I was like so tunneling on this as it has to be done because I have so much fun or learning right now so much. And then I had those days where I'm just like, retopo, UVing, low poly, what? And you just have to push yourself. Just just do it. Sounds easier than it is, but just do it. But yeah, time management, I'm not good at home. I'm not good at that. I will not give an advice.
Okay, so we've got a few more questions here, and then we'll get out of here. Do you think a really focused specialism like weapons or weapon art can be restrictive to employment in some ways? What were you ever worried about making certain jobs not open to you?
Oh, they would not allow me because I do weapons, because they don't like weapons, or because they like
I guess
they
it's like narrowing your field. Like if you're
oh
only
yeah, I mean,
really showing
yeah, yeah,
weapons.
yeah, exactly. Yes, it will narrow your field, but that's the question down to you, right? Do you want, and this is my important question for everyone out of this listening, do you want that desperately the job in the game industry that you would take any salary and any job, even in QA, to work at a 9 to 5 job that you hate and you just wait for Friday for it to be over just to get into the industry? I'm sure there's many people who do this, and I think you shouldn't, because it just destroys your view on the industry. That's why I'm saying find the thing you love, focus on it. It might be harder for you to get into the industry or where you want to be. Like me, as I just said in the talk before, I was like having a whole year struggling finding a job, right? Uh, but eventually then you get this one job that you wanted very hard, and then you don't have this problem of, oh no, when is Friday, when is weekend, I'm waiting for the weekend. That's the wrong job if you are waiting for the weekend. Like, so what, you're working 5 days a week and that's your life, like spending half of your life in the job where you wait for the weekend? that
Mm.
that shouldn't be the thing. You should enjoy your job, in my opinion. And if you are focusing on something that is hopefully what you enjoy that much that you don't want the weekend to come that quick, at least me.
um, how many poly? This is an interesting question because I actually don't know this. How many poly counts, or like what's the poly count of for AAA weapons like rifles and handguns?
This literally varies. And now, like
Yeah, it's
at the
very
moment,
broad. I know that.
yeah, we are at the moment in the very awkward time in game industry, I think, when it comes to tech, because every engine out there, every studio has absolute different approaches. Like, let's say, I don't know, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, a weapon had, like, let's say, just an example, 4K polygons. That's it. Like 4,000 more you cannot go over because the graphic cards will not support this shit. And it was like broadly everywhere similar. Nowadays, it's like you have a Call of Duty where it's like, I don't know, like 120K in some cases, like a huge big LMG. And then you have like other AAA games with like the same expectation and quality, but they are like, oh, but I want the weapon to be like 20K. And you're like, why what? 100K less? And you start to question, why is that? And the answer is there is no questions, because no answer to this, because it's the tech artists and the programmer who will dictate it in the end, because they say we need performance, and obviously they will just randomly say, okay, weapons take here away, take from environment a bit, and take from this a bit, and eventually you're unlucky in the end, your weapons get like pulled down to like 20K, which is a solid number nowadays. Like if you make a AR, for example, and your weapon is between 20 and 40K, you're golden. Like, that's fine. Like, if you're at 40 in the higher end, that's fine. If you're in 20 lower end, that's fine, as long there's no silhouette uh artifacts, like when you
Yeah.
have too low polygons. As long this is not the case, go for it. Like scopes have like the amount of sights the a scope has in AAA often can be up to like between like uh 84 and 112. Like, I have seen both. Like, this is how many sights a cylinder on a scope nowadays has.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean it's the same when you look at props and environments as well. It's just assets in general. It's the silhouette. If it looks
Yeah.
good, then you have enough polys. You don't need more or less unless you're trying to
Yeah, some
apply
people
more, right?
some people overkill it. Like, they model every bolt and screw and every connection is modeled instead of baked. And it's like, this is something my mentor from Elite 3D, he's also in the chat, Miguel Mosca, was always preaching to me, like, stop modeling everything. You can bake so much and it will look a lot better than modeling it and baking it, because the resolution will be so low that you will have seams on the edges, and you will get like anti-aliasing issues because of the low resolution then on bolts and screws, and it's just looking odd. While just baking it has maybe low resolution, but there will be no anti-aliasing issues, there's no sharp edges because the resolution for the bake is too low or anything. It would just look fine.
All right. Well, last question. Well, it's kind of two questions, but how is a good way? I'm gonna say it exactly how it's written. How is a good way to practice texturing? Do you make your materials directly on a prop, or do you make a base on like a shader ball and then translate that?
I do them completely from scratch. Like I literally start with a fill layer and then build up like the very basic material, and then adding more materials on top, like details. But the important part is just the basic material to get it done. And I always do it on the gun itself. Like I don't have shader balls or anything. I mean, you can do that, right?
Mm.
But I just do it usually on the gun. And you will just build up like a big library of materials you have as it. Like this is the important thing. If you nailed base material of like a coating, a Cerakote coating, for example, before you continue adding all the dirt and surface layers on top, save it out as a smart material so you just can reuse it the next time.
Yeah, cutting the
But
corners.
don't yeah, exactly. But don't, that's one thing, like take just the base material, because don't take like the whole done material and just put it on the next project. Like in our case, because we have different clients, don't take just this material that you made for like, I don't know, Call of Duty, just copy the exact same material and put it on like, I don't know, a Ubisoft game. That's not the nice way. That's why take the base materials and then make the texture for it unique again by adding the surface layers again on top of it. And that's also how you will learn, by just doing it over and over again. Like if you just like, I see people using my smart materials I sell on ArtStation, and I'm like, that's why I sold them, so people can study them and use them. But don't forget to break them down. Like try to iterate them yourself also, and alter them and build them up yourself eventually. And this is how you will learn, by just
Yeah,
iterating and
understand them.
trying to, yeah, make them again and again and again, so you get it in your head instead of just copy pasta, copy pasta.
Is there a texel density concept with weapons?
Yes, there's textile density, but it's just different for every game.
Yeah,
Some don't even have like,
they just
it's
want it to look
actually
good.
yeah, but it's also funny because some projects, in big ones like AAA, big ones like big names, don't have textile density, while some are very strict about it. It's like, well, this is so confusing. That's what I mean. Like at the moment, the current game industry is so divided, workflows that are so different, that there's no generalization anymore where you can say this is 4K for a gun is what is normal nowadays, and the 94 textile density is normal, and this is normal. No, it's nowadays it's like, make it look good. Like that's the thing. If you can make it look good, like if someone applies for Wardog and it just looks amazing, if it has 60K or 20K, yeah, I don't care. Like most likely we will test you anyway, and we will see how you actually can optimize stuff. But optimization is something that can be trained. Good texturing or like quickness can't be teach that easy. Like optimization to teach it is easy, but like texturing and being like organized and efficient is not that easy to teach, in my opinion.
All right. Well, I think we got through all the questions, and we're not too over. 30 minutes over. But
Not too
no,
much.
thanks for coming on, man. It was really interesting. It's good to actually hear your voice as well. Just see who
Thanks.
you are.
I
And
knew your voice for a long time.
it's not as deep in person, trust me. We'll meet someday.
Yes, very likely.
But awesome. Okay. Ole, I will talk to you in a second here. I'll just mute you for a bit and
Sure.
say bye to everyone.
Bye, everyone. I hope you take the advices, and was great talking to everyone.